People do not always decide you are weak because of what you say. Sometimes they decide it before you even open your mouth. They notice how quickly you explain yourself. How fast you laugh when nothing is funny. How your shoulders collapse when someone disagrees with you. How your eyes search the room for approval. How you say it's okay when it is clearly not okay. And the painful part is this. Most people will never tell you they see it. They will just treat you differently. They interrupt you more. They test your limits more. They respect your time less. They speak to you like your presence is optional. And then you wonder, why do people keep doing this to me? The answer is uncomfortable. People often respond to the level of self-respect you silently communicate. Not the self-respect you claim to have. The self-respect your body, your habits, your reactions, and your boundaries reveal when nobody is giving you a script. Weakness is not softness. Weakness is not kindness. Weakness is not being quiet. Some of the strongest people in the world are calm, gentle, and quiet. Real weakness is when you abandon yourself to be accepted. It is when you make yourself smaller so other people feel comfortable. It is when you pretend not to care because you are afraid to care too much. It is when your nervous system is always asking, do they still like me? That is what people feel. And once they feel it, they often treat you according to it. Not because everyone is evil. But because human beings are constantly reading social signals. We read posture. We read hesitation. We read emotional control. We read whether someone can say no without guilt. We read whether someone needs approval before making a decision. This happens in friendships. At work. In relationships. Even in family. You walk into a room, and before you speak, your presence has already said something. The question is, what is it saying? Most people misunderstand this issue because they think looking strong means acting aggressive. They think respect comes from being loud, cold, dominant, unreachable. So they try to force it. They start speaking harshly. They interrupt people. They act like they do not care. They mistake arrogance for confidence. But that is not strength. That is insecurity wearing armor. Real strength does not need to announce itself. It has weight. It has stillness. It has control. A strong person does not need to win every moment. They do not panic when misunderstood. They do not chase someone who is pulling away. They do not beg to be valued by people who benefit from undervaluing them. That is why strength often looks boring from the outside. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is not desperate. It is quiet self-command. And that is exactly what makes people feel it. Here is the hidden psychological reason people may see you as weak. You may be communicating fear before you communicate identity. Fear of rejection. Fear of conflict. Fear of being disliked. Fear of being alone. Fear of disappointing someone. Fear of losing access to love, attention, or approval. And when fear becomes the center of your behavior, people do not experience the real you. They experience your survival strategy. You become too agreeable. Too available. Too reactive. Too easy to move. You answer messages instantly, not because you want to, but because silence makes you anxious. You say yes when your body is saying no. You apologize when you have not done anything wrong. You explain your choices to people who were never entitled to that explanation. And slowly, without realizing it, you train people to see your boundaries as flexible. This is where the damage begins. Because every time you betray yourself to avoid discomfort, you teach your mind one lesson. My peace depends on other people's approval. And once your mind believes that, your behavior changes. You stop walking with direction. You stop speaking with certainty. You stop trusting your own judgment. You become emotionally available to everyone except yourself. That is not kindness. That is self-abandonment. And people can feel it. Think about the person who keeps laughing when someone disrespects them. They are not laughing because it is funny. They are laughing because confrontation feels dangerous. They want the tension to disappear. So they smile through the insult. But the other person learns something. They learn that disrespect has no cost. Think about the person at work who always says, "No problem," even when they are overloaded. They stay late. They fix other people's mistakes. They never ask for help. They hope someone will notice their sacrifice and finally respect them. But often, the opposite happens. People assume they are available for more. Because silent resentment does not look like strength. It looks like permission. Think about the person in a relationship who keeps accepting less than they need. Late replies. Broken promises. Mixed signals. Emotional distance. They keep telling themselves, maybe I am asking for too much. But deep down, they know the truth. They are not asking for too much. They are asking the wrong person. And staying there slowly teaches their heart to confuse anxiety with love. This is how weakness grows. Not in one big decision, but in small moments where you choose comfort over self-respect. You avoid one difficult conversation. You ignore one red flag. You accept one unfair treatment. You let one person cross the line. And each time, something inside you becomes quieter. Until one day, you do not even know what you want anymore. You only know how to keep people from leaving. But here is the turning point. You do not change how people see you by trying to impress them. You change how people see you by becoming less dependent on their reaction. That is the real shift. When you stop needing everyone to understand you, your energy changes. When you stop rushing to fill silence, your presence changes. When you stop explaining every decision, your authority changes. When you stop apologizing for having standards, your relationships change. The first practical step is to slow down. Weak energy is often rushed energy. You rush your words. You rush your decisions. You rush to respond. You rush to fix the mood. You rush to prove you are good enough. Slow down. Pause before answering. Let silence exist. When someone asks you something, you do not have to respond like you are being judged in court. Take a breath. Think. Then speak. A person who can tolerate silence looks like they belong to themselves. The second step is to fix your posture, but not in a fake way. Do not puff your chest like you are trying to dominate the room. Just stop collapsing. Lift your head. Relax your shoulders. Let your eyes meet the world instead of escaping from it. Your body is not just something people see. It is something your own brain listens to. When you move like you are ashamed of existing, your mind starts to believe you should be. When you move with calm stability, your mind receives a different message. I am safe enough to be seen. The third step is to stop over-explaining. Over-explaining is often a trauma response to being misunderstood, criticized, or doubted in the past. You think if you can just explain yourself perfectly, nobody will be upset. But the truth is, people who are committed to misunderstanding you will not be satisfied by more details. They will simply use your explanations as more material to challenge. Say less. Mean more. A simple "that does not work for me" is stronger than a 10-minute speech filled with guilt. A simple "I am not available" is stronger than a fake excuse. A simple no is a complete boundary. The fourth step is to stop rewarding disrespect with access. This is where many people fail. They say they want respect, but they keep giving their time, energy, attention, and emotional availability to people who disrespect them. You cannot keep opening the door and then complain that the same person keeps walking in. Access is a privilege. Your attention is a privilege. Your emotional energy is a privilege. When someone repeatedly shows you they do not value it, you do not need revenge. You need distance. Not dramatic distance. Quiet distance. The kind where you stop chasing. Stop explaining. Stop auditioning. Stop trying to prove your worth to someone who benefits from you forgetting it. The fifth step is to build a private life that makes you proud. This is the part nobody wants to hear. You cannot fake self-respect forever. Sooner or later, your habits expose you. If you break promises to yourself every day, your confidence will feel fragile. If you spend your nights drowning in distractions, your eyes will show it. If you keep choosing comfort over discipline, your presence will lose sharpness. People do not need to know your routine to feel your relationship with yourself. Discipline changes how you carry your body. It changes how you speak. It changes what you tolerate. Because when you know you can trust yourself, you stop begging the world to validate you. Start small. Wake up when you said you would. Clean your space. Train your body. Finish what you start. Keep one promise nobody sees. Then another. Then another. Self-respect is built in private before it is recognized in public. And this is the deeper truth. People do not respect you because you demand it. They respect you when your behavior proves that disrespect cannot control you. There is a difference. Demanding respect can still come from insecurity. But embodying self-respect comes from identity. It means you have decided, quietly and seriously, I will not participate in my own humiliation. That sentence can change your life. I will not participate in my own humiliation. Not by chasing people who do not choose me. Not by laughing at jokes that cut me down. Not by saying yes when I mean no. Not by shrinking my opinion so others do not feel challenged. Not by letting temporary comfort steal permanent self-trust. At some point, you must understand that the world does not owe you a strong identity. You have to build one. And building one is not always exciting. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it means disappointing people who like the weaker version of you. Sometimes it means losing access to rooms where you were only welcome because you had no boundaries. That will hurt. But it will also reveal something important. Some people did not love your kindness. They loved your lack of resistance. Some people did not value your patience. They valued your silence. Some people did not respect your loyalty. They used your fear of leaving. And when you finally change, they may call you difficult, cold, different, selfish. Do not panic. Sometimes you changed means you stopped being easy to control. But do not confuse strength with becoming heartless. The goal is not to become a person who feels nothing. The goal is to become a person who can feel deeply without being ruled by every feeling. You can care without chasing. You can love without begging. You can listen without obeying. You can be kind without being available for disrespect. That is emotional maturity. That is quiet power. That is how people begin to see you differently without you needing to perform. Because your energy becomes clear. Your boundaries become calm. Your words become fewer. Your choices become cleaner. And your presence begins to say what your mouth no longer has to. I respect myself. Not loudly. Not arrogantly. Not for attention. But consistently. And consistency is what changes everything. The person who once needed approval starts choosing alignment. The person who once feared silence starts finding peace in it. The person who once accepted crumbs starts walking away from tables where love is served like a reward. And slowly, people notice. They may not say it. But they notice. They notice you do not react the same way. They notice you are harder to manipulate. They notice your time has become more expensive. They notice your yes has meaning because your no has strength. That is when respect begins. Not because you forced people to see you differently. but because you finally stopped seeing yourself as someone who had to be chosen by everyone. Remember this. The way people see you begins with the way you return to yourself in the moments where approval is tempting. When it would be easier to laugh it off. When it would be easier to say yes. When it would be easier to text back. When it would be easier to shrink. That moment is the doorway. Choose yourself there. Quietly. Firmly. Again and again. And one day, without making an announcement, you will walk into a room and feel something different. Not because everyone likes you. Not because nobody judges you. Not because life became easy. But because you are no longer asking the room for permission to exist. And that is the day weakness loses its grip on you. If this helped you see yourself differently, subscribe for more deep psychology and self-improvement lessons.